Hello everyone. Today we will talk about in the first lecture we have covered the namespaces and the IDE and what is Visual Studio, what is this, how we work, and now in this lecture we will talk about the basic input and output in C sharp. The basic input and output in C sharp language. Okay, these lectures are for beginners who don't know programming languages from zero. So this is my second video. Okay, let's start. In any programming language there is a core things, input and output. These are core things. You you give some input and you get some output. Sometimes you just only get output. In every system in the world, every system, whether it's electronic system, whether it's manual system, whatever, you give some input, you get some output. In the same way, in softwares, in programmings, every software you see, you give some input, and that software, that system returns you some outputs that you want. You give input, there is a processing which is covered in programming, and after the programming runs, it gives you some output on the basis of your input. So all you have to do is to remember the syntax, and that's it. Here is what one line written: console dot write line. I have taught you about console dot write line, read line in the first lecture. What is this? Why we use? Now we use this for, and in this lecture we will see that how these things works. Okay, let's start with console dot write line. Now I have talked you that what is that C sharp is a very sensitive and some what I have said to you that it's user friendly and understandable language. It means that its sentence makes sense. Like this console.write line, it makes sense. It is saying that write a line on console. So which line? Whatever we write in these parentheses, in these commas, double commas, whatever we write, like 1 2 3, like any string, like any special characters, whatever we write, it will print out on the screen. Now let's start and see what happens. Okay, it takes some time because I have just 4 GB of RAM, and one thing you have to remember is that at least you have 8 GB of RAM in your system, so that Visual Studio could perform better. Visual Studio is some kind of a heavy software for running, so you should not have a 2 GB or 4 GB RAM. Okay, one mistake I have done is that whenever you start a program, you should always start it without debugging. You have to, on keyboard, you have to press Shift F5. Okay, Shift F5. Sorry, Control F5. You have to press Control F5, and then it shows whatever we have to write. Now this is the writing part. Let's remove this. And how to get input from a user. To get input from user, all you have to do is to write the same syntax, console dot, and this time you have to write read line. You can use read, but I prefer read line. So in read line, you cannot just this and write. That doesn't make any sense. One thing you have to remember while programming C sharp, that console.readLine is a method which reads a line on the console, like one line from the console. and that line must be, not just must be, that line is a string. Whatever console.read line read from the console, it it is string. Like I have shown some example. String name. If I say read a line from console and store it in the name variable, so what this line do, this method will read a line from console, okay, and whatever he reads from console, it will assign to this name variable. Whatever he whatever this method read from console, these equal to sign is assigning, like this one equal to sign is for assigning. Whatever present in this area will be transferred to that area along this side of equal to sign. So whatever this read line read from console, it will store that thing in this name variable. Now I have not taught you about variables. Variables are just you can say containers for storing things for temporary uses, for temporary maqsad. We can store anything, like registers in computers, they store for a very short time. So the thing that is read from console have been transferred to name. And how to print that thing, I mean, how do we know that we have read this line? First of all, there are two things, reading and writing. That line is reading from console. I want to write that we have read, that we have read from console. I want to write back to the console. How do we do that? Let's see. I know that you will, is from start it's like confusing, but I show you that after a time, after practicing, after giving two or three examples, you will understand it better. Right line. So whatever is present in this name variable that we store, I want to write that again on console. How do we do that? Let's say hello, I don't know the spelling of hello. So one thing to remember, if you want to write a string, any variable, you don't write like name in here. That's mistake. If you want to write this variable, what is inside this variable, you have to plus sign and the variable name, that is name. So in console it will return as hello plus name. If I write uh, John, in console it will return hello John. Now let's see, control F5. So this blinking of cursor is showing that you have to give some value. I want to give John. When I press enter, it say hello John. What is going on? In the first line, I give a value from keyboard JOHN. This console.read line method read that John and save this John to name variable, like pass this John, this string to name variable. And in the next line, when program comes in next line, it prints hello plus the name stored in the name variable. If we print out like this hello, and that John is the John that we write in the start. Let's run this again and with the different name, so that you understand the concept of variables. This time I write Kashif. So when I press enter, it should print hello Kashif. Okay, So whatever you write, this time I say Ahmed, Ali, Khan. This is a line. What console read line do? It reads the complete line. Like if this line is as much bigger, it will read the whole line and print back hello Ali Ahmed Khan da 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 da. So I know you know the concept. What this line do, what equals to sign do, what variables do. In the next lecture, I will talk to you about variables in more details. This is just a string variable. We can make more variables like integers, like double, like float, and we have to convert in the next lecture. So you have to prepare for the next lecture. It will be variables. So do read in Google about variables so that you mentally prepare about our next lecture. Goodbye.